A blind old man is running his hands over his son's arms. And the arms are wrong. He knows they're wrong. Some part of him knows. The voice coming out of the darkness in front of him is the voice of his younger son, Jacob. He says so, out loud. The voice is Jacob's voice, but the arms under his fingers are covered in hair, coarse animal hair, the way only his elder son Esau's arms are hairy. So the old man does what any of us would do when the evidence contradicts itself. He checks again. He smells the clothes. He asks, point blank, "Are you really my son Esau?" And the darkness says, "I am." What Isaac's hands are actually feeling, and we the readers know this, is goatskin. His wife has strapped goatskin to their younger son's arms and to the smooth of his neck, dressed him in his brother's best clothes for the smell of them, put a plate of curried goat in his hands, seasoned to taste exactly like the wild game the old man loves, and sent him in to impersonate his own brother, to his own blind, dying father. I want to be respectful about the scriptures. I truly do. But we have to be able to say it. This is absurd. This is a heist movie. A man is deceiving his blind father with a goat costume. It is working, and the narrator of Genesis relates the whole thing in a tone of complete calm, as though goat-based identity fraud was simply one of the things that happens in the best families, which, in this family it is. That's rather the point of the chapter, and the deadpan is doing theology. The text refuses to gasp, because the text has met these people. But we've started in the middle. To appreciate the con properly, you need to know that these two brothers have been fighting since before they had faces. Quick word on where you've landed, if you're new. This series walks through the genealogy at the start of Matthew's Gospel, the list of names most people skip, one guest at a time. Last time it was Abraham, a man who left everything on the strength of a promise and then spent 25 years failing to live up to it in almost every available way. 3 threads run through every episode. Grace, who gets let in, and on what terms. Power, who has it, and what it costs the people underneath. And providence, the hidden hand, which almost never announces itself. Abraham's chapter turned grace up loud. This one is about to turn it up considerably louder, because the man we're about to meet is a fraud, and God knows it, and picks him anyway. Isaac, quiet passive Isaac from last time, marries Rebekah, a woman with roughly enough decisiveness for the both of them, as the story will demonstrate at length. Like Sarah before her, Rebekah cannot conceive. Isaac prays, and she becomes pregnant with twins, who proceed to fight so violently in the womb that she goes to inquire of God whether life is even worth living, which, as birth plans go, is not the serene option. The answer she receives is an oracle, and everything that follows hangs from it. 2 nations are in your womb, and the elder will serve the younger. The elder will serve the younger. In a world where the firstborn got everything, the double inheritance, the family headship, the blessing, God announces, before either boy has drawn breath, that this family will run backwards. Hold on to that oracle, because one of this chapter's genuinely uncomfortable questions is whether anything Jacob does was ever necessary, or whether an entire career of scheming went into stealing something that had already been promised to him. Free. The twins arrive in a manner that sets the tone for the next 40 years. The first comes out red and hairy all over. They name him Esau, a name the text connects to his hairiness. And honestly, imagine being named hairy at birth and having it stick. The second comes out, gripping his brother's heel, trying, apparently, to drag him back and overtake him at the line. So they call him Jacob, heel grabber. It's a name with an edge to it, in Hebrew. The heel grabber, the supplanter, the one who trips you from behind. Imagine naming a child ankle tapper and then acting surprised at how he turns out. They grow into a diagram of everything that splits families. Esau, outdoorsman, hunter, hairy, immediate, a man of appetites, the kind of person who has never once in his life left food on a plate or a thought unspoken. Jacob, smooth-skinned, indoorsy, quiet, watchful, a dweller in tents, the kind of person who notices things and files them, And then Genesis hands us one of the most quietly devastating verses about family life in all of ancient literature. Isaac, who had a taste for wild game, loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. There it is, favoritism stated flat, no euphemism, each parent claiming a boy like luggage. Isaac loves Esau, and notice the reason the text gives, because it is withering, because he liked the taste of his cooking. Rebekah loves Jacob, full stop, no reason given, which is somehow more ominous. Two parents, two favorites, one inheritance. You could hand that verse to a family therapist, and they could sketch the next 30 years on a napkin. The first swindle barely counts as a swindle, because the victim practically gift wraps himself. Esau comes in from the open country one day, famished, and Esau does not do hunger by halves. The text has him declaring he is about to die, which he is not, and he finds Jacob at the fire, cooking a pot of red lentil stew. What follows is, pound for pound, arguably the worst trade in recorded history, and I include in that assessment the man who sold Manhattan, and everyone who has ever swapped stickers with an older sibling. Esau, let me have some of that red stuff. I'm starving. Jacob, not missing a beat, as though he has been waiting by this pot his entire life, which, in a sense, he has. First, sell me your birthright. The birthright. The firstborn's portion. The double share of everything Isaac owns. The headship of the family. And in this family, the position in the line of a promise made under the stars to a man who left everything on a word. Esau's response deserves to be read slowly. Look, I am about to die. What good is the birthright to me? And he swears the oath and eats the stew. And the text rattles off the verbs with magnificent contempt. He ate and drank, and then got up and left. And Genesis closes the scene with its verdict, one of the coldest sentences in the book. So Esau despised his birthright. Bowl of soup, entire covenantal inheritance. Bowl of soup. The narrator doesn't even bother being shocked. And neither will I, because we're saving our shock. The soup was only the legal instrument. The birthright was property. The blessing, the deathbed blessing, the spoken, irrevocable word of the father, that was the crown jewel. And that couldn't be bought over lunch. That had to be taken. Which brings us back to the goat. Isaac is old now, blind, and convinced he's dying, which he is not, incidentally. The man survives the scene by decades, wringing maximum drama from his deathbed, like many a patriarch since. He calls in Esau. Take your bow. Hunt me some game. Cook me that food I love. There it is again, the food. Isaac's love language remains fatally consistent, and I will give you my blessing before I die. And Rebekah is listening at the tent flap. Of course she is. And here the story stops being about two brothers, and becomes what it always secretly was. A proxy war between the parents, fought through the children. It is Rebekah, not Jacob, who conceives the entire operation, on the spot, complete. The two goats from the flock, the recipe replicated, Esau's garments fetched, the skins for the arms and the neck. And when Jacob raises an objection, note very carefully what the objection actually is. Not, this is wrong. Not, this is my blind father. But, what if he touches me? I would appear to be tricking him. Appear, and would bring a curse on myself rather than a blessing. His concern is operational. He isn't troubled by the fraud. He's troubled by the exposure risk. And his mother's answer is the stuff of legend. Let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say. So, in he goes. And we're back where this episode opened. The wrong arms, the wrong voice, the trembling old hands. The direct question, are you really my son Esau? And the flat lie, I am. And then, awfully, a second lie, invoking God himself. When Isaac asks how the hunt went so quickly, the Lord your God gave me success, dragging God in as an accomplice. Even by this family's standards, that one lands with a thud. And Isaac blesses him, the full blessing, the irrevocable one, the fatness of the earth, the abundance of grain and wine, nations bowing, Lord over your brothers, the oracle from the womb, fulfilled by fraud, and Jacob is barely out of the tent. The text makes the timing almost farcical, one brother exiting as the other enters. When Esau arrives with his game, cooked with love, and says the sentence that detonates the household, "Father, sit up and eat so that you may give me your blessing." And this is where the deadpan cracks, where the story lets you hear the actual cost of all that cleverness. Isaac begins to tremble, violently, the text says. And Esau, big, hairy, appetite-driven Esau, the despiser of birthrights, lets out a cry the narrator describes as loud and exceedingly bitter, and says something that has broken readers' hearts for 3,000 years. "Bless me. Me too, my father. Do you have only one blessing, my father?" And he weeps. The hunter weeps aloud, begging for scraps of a blessing. And there are none, because in that world, a blessing once spoken was as unrecallable as an arrow once loosed. Whatever you think of Esau, and the New Testament, note, is not sentimental about him. You do not forget that cry. The comedy has been building to this precisely so that it can stop being funny on cue. Con jobs have soundtracks, and this is what they sound like from the other room. Esau resolves out loud to kill his brother the moment the mourning for their father is done. Rebekah, whose intelligence network remains flawless, hears of it and moves Jacob out of the country within days. North to her brother Laban, with a line to Isaac about local marriage prospects as cover. Her parting comfort to Jacob is that it will only be a little while until Esau's fury cools. It will be 20 years. She will, as far as the text records, never see her favorite son again. "Let the curse fall on me," she said. In the quiet, bookkeeping way the story settles accounts. It rather did. So Jacob runs, and here the story does something that should, by every rule of moral storytelling, be illegal. Picture him, alone for possibly the first time in his life, on the road north, carrying nothing but what he can walk with. The mama's boy, without the mama. Night falls somewhere in the hill country, in a nowhere place, and he sleeps on the ground with a stone for a pillow, which tells you everything you need to know about how thoroughly the golden child's life has collapsed. And he dreams, a stairway, the famous ladder, set on the earth, its top reaching heaven, the angels of God ascending and descending on it, and above it, the Lord, who proceeds to transfer the entire Abrahamic promise, the land, the descendants like the dust of the earth, the blessing of all peoples, to this man, to the fraud, mid-getaway, with his father's stolen blessing still ringing in the tent behind him, and his brother's death threat ahead of him. No rebuke, no conditions attached, and then a sentence that is either the most comforting or the most scandalous in Genesis, depending entirely on how recently you have been wronged by someone like Jacob. "I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you." Grace arriving before it's earned, before it's even asked for. Jacob didn't pray for this. He was asleep. And his response on waking is perfectly, hilariously in character. Or first, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it." And then, within about 4 verses, he's negotiating. If God will be with me, if he'll feed and clothe me and bring me home safe, then the Lord will be my God and I'll tithe. Terms and conditions. The man hears an unconditional promise from the mouth of God and replies with a contract proposal. You can take the boy out of the tent, but he names the place Bethel, house of God, and walks on into the one thing his story still owes him. Because here is where Genesis reveals its sense of humor, and it turns out to be the patient kind. Jacob arrives in the north and falls, instantly, cinematically, for his cousin Rachel, and agrees to work 7 years for her father Laban for her hand. 7 years that seemed like only a few days to him, because of his love for her, says the text, in its one truly soft focus moment. The wedding comes, the feast is held, the bride is veiled and brought to him in the darkness of the tent. And in the morning Genesis delivers this with the timing of a master. Behold, it was Leah, the elder sister. Laban has switched his daughters under cover of night and a veil, and Jacob has married the wrong woman. Savor, if you will, Jacob's outraged protest. Why have you deceived me? Which is surely among the least self-aware questions ever posed by anybody. And then savor Laban's answer, which is aimed with sniper precision at the one spot where Jacob has no armor. It is not our custom here to give the younger before the firstborn. The younger before the firstborn. Laban may or may not know the details of what happened back in Isaac's tent, but the narrator knows. And the narrator makes sure that sentence lands square on Jacob's history. The man who used darkness and disguise to pose as the firstborn has just been beaten by darkness and disguise, deployed to protect a firstborn. The deceiver deceived. By the same trick, on the same axis. It costs him another 7 years' labor to marry Rachel as well. And the two-sister household that results is exactly the festival of rivalry, favoritism, and competitive childbearing you would predict. This family apparently learning nothing except how to raise the stakes. He stays 20 years, and the two of them cheat each other with mounting creativity. Laban revises Jacob's wages 10 times, the text says. Jacob retaliates with a selective breeding scheme involving striped rods that reads like agricultural folk magic and works like a hostile takeover. Until Jacob finally leaves, rich at speed, without saying goodbye, pursued by his father-in-law, which is the traditional way departures happen in this family. There is a word for what Laban is in Jacob's story, and the word is mirror. 20 years of living with a version of himself. Some men get therapy, Jacob got Laban. Not clear the results were worse. And so, at last, home, which means Esau. Word comes back from Jacob's messengers, and it is the worst news obtainable. Your brother is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him. 400 men is not a welcome party. Jacob, in great fear and distress, does everything the old Jacob would do. Splits his camp in two so that half might survive. Sends waves of extravagant gifts on ahead to soften Esau. Arranges his household in order of expendability, which his family presumably noticed. And then, having schemed everything schemable, he does something new. He prays, really prays. No terms this time. I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. And then he sends everyone across the river ahead of him. And Jacob is left alone, night, the ford of the Jabbok. One man in the dark between the life he wrecked and the brother he wronged. And a man wrestles with him till daybreak. Genesis narrates it, with almost no explanation. Who the stranger is, why the fight, why it takes all night. The mystery is the point. Every attempt to tidy the scene diminishes it. What we're told is this: the stranger cannot overpower Jacob. Sit with the strangeness of that. So he touches Jacob's hip and wrenches it from its socket. And even then, crippled, Jacob will not release his grip. I will not let you go unless you bless me. All his life he has taken blessings, by fraud, by leverage, by stew. Here at last he simply hangs on to one, wounded, in the dark, and asks. And the stranger asks his name, and understand what that question is in the story. The last time somebody in the dark asked this man who he was, in his father's tent, he said, I am Esau. Now the question comes again, and this time he tells the truth. Jacob, heel grabber, supplanter. It is a confession disguised as an introduction, and the stranger says, your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans, and have overcome. Israel, the name the nation will carry, the name on the whole rest of the Bible, given not to a saint at prayer, but to a con man mid-grapple, and defined forever as the one who struggles. God renamed his people after a wrestling match with a fraud who refused to let go. If you want a one-sentence summary of the theology of this entire book, you could do considerably worse. The sun rises, and Jacob walks towards Esau, and the text is careful to tell us this, limping because of his hip. He carries that limp out of the story, and, tradition says, to the grave. Grace in this family is real, and transforming, and it leaves a mark. He is blessed and lame in the same hip. Both things are true for the rest of his life. And the limp is not the punishment. The limp is the receipt. The reunion itself, after all of that, is almost anticlimactic. And that, I'd argue, is the point. Esau runs to him, embraces him, falls on his neck and kisses him. and they weep, and all of Jacob's elaborate diplomatic choreography dissolves into two middle-aged men crying in a field. No reckoning, no speech, no dramatic settling of the ledger. Esau has apparently simply gone on with his life and prospered, and let it go. The despiser of birthrights turns out to be a natural at the one thing his clever brother never mastered, which is moving on. They bury their father together later, and drift apart, undramatically, as brothers do. 20 years of dread, resolved in a hug. Some of the largest debts in family life are cancelled in exactly this way. Not paid, just released, by the person you least expected to do it. The three threads. Grace, loud. Say it plainly because the text does. God chose the schemer, not the straightforward brother, not the appetites on legs brother, the arguably more honest brother, the one who at least defrauded nobody, the heel grabber, and chose him at Bethel, mid-flight, pre-repentance, unconditionally, while the man was asleep. If episode 1 established that the promise doesn't depend on the family's virtue, this one escalates. The promise attaches itself on purpose to the family's least virtuous available member, and then spends 20 years and one dislocated hip making a human being out of him. Grace here is not a reward. It is a project. Power, quiet. No thrones yet. But look at the currency circulating in these tents. Favoritism is power. Isaac's and Rebekah's competing loves set those two boys against each other more surely than any inheritance law could. Information is power. Rebekah wins every round of the story by controlling who knows what. And manipulation is power for people denied the official kind, which is worth saying carefully, because Rebekah holds the oracle. The elder will serve the younger, in a world that gives her no legitimate lever to act on it. And the text leaves us to wrestle with whether her fraud was faith's only available instrument, or simply faithlessness with better information. Either way, watch the household economy here. Love rationed, truth hoarded, blessing weaponized. The kings of part 2 will do all of this with armies. The kit is being assembled in a tent by people who would each tell you sincerely that they loved their family. Providence, a whisper. Here's the uncomfortable one, so let's not flinch. The deception worked. The blessing landed, by fraud, exactly where the oracle said it would go. Does that mean God blessed the plan? The text, and this is one of its glories, refuses to say. It never once calls Jacob's con righteous. It also never unwinds its results. What it does instead is quietly invoice everyone. Jacob gains the blessing and loses his home, his mother, and 20 years to a man exactly like himself. Rebekah gains the outcome and loses the son. And the deceit ricochets down a generation until Jacob's own sons deceive him, with a slaughtered goat and a dipped robe. The same prop, returning like a bull. Providence in this chapter is not approval. It's something stranger and sturdier, a purpose that cannot be derailed even by the sins of the people carrying it, and will not pretend those sins were free. God writes straight, as the old proverb has it, with crooked lines. This chapter is Exhibit A that the lines stay genuinely crooked. What Matthew's doing. So why is this man on Matthew's list? And why, given the genre's rules, is there no attempt whatsoever to tidy him up? Partly because there's no root around him. Jacob is Israel. The 12 tribes walk out of his marriages and his rivalries. All that competitive childbearing between Leah and Rachel and their maids produces precisely the 12 sons the nation is named for. Providence, once again, working through the mess rather than around it. You cannot have a Messiah of Israel without the man Israel is named after. But Matthew, writing to Jewish readers, is also invoking something every one of them knew in their bones, that their entire nation was named wrestler, not the obedient, not the pure, the one who struggles with God and with humans, and is blessed anyway, and limps anyway. A first-century reader tracing Jesus' line through Jacob heard the whole story in the name. Election that precedes merit, grace that outruns character, a God who does not wait for people to become good before conscripting them into the promise. Matthew's genealogy is one long demonstration of that principle, and Jacob is where the principle gets its founding legend. And here's the thread to carry forward. The heel grabber's real inheritance wasn't the land or the blessing. It was the pattern. His sons will run his plays back at him, almost line for line. The favoritism, the jealousy, the deceiving of a father, even the goat, which brings us with a wince to Judah. Reflection. One question out of this, and it's Jacob's own really, asked at the Jabbok when the stranger made him say his name. Everything defining about Jacob was, in a sense, handed to him before he could consent to any of it. The oracle, the name, the rivalry, his parents' rationed love, the family talent for the angle and the scheme. He spent half a life running those inherited programs, and one long night having his actual self wrestled out from under them. So, what have you inherited that you didn't choose? The temper, the silence, the flinch, the favoritism, the way conflict was done, or not done, in the house you grew up in. Name one item, not to assign blame. This chapter should cure anybody of thinking blame is simple. But Jacob's story suggests the inheritance isn't the last word, and that the renaming tends to happen not when we outrun what we were handed, but on the night we finally stop running. Say our real name in the dark, and hang on for the blessing. Comments if you're willing. I read them. We leave Jacob limping home then, a wrestler at peace. His flocks around him, his 12 sons growing up under canvas. 12 sons who have inherited the full family toolkit. The favoritism. Jacob has learned nothing. He loves Joseph best, and everyone knows it. The jealousy. The talent for deception. The goat-based crime. 10 of them are about to stand around a pit in the desert, listening to their little brother shout, while a caravan of traders comes over the horizon. And one of them, the fourth one, Leah's boy, the one nobody's been watching, is about to have an idea. His name is Judah, and the kings of Israel will call him father. First though, he has to hit the bottom. One last thing, and then I'll let you go. Everything in the series comes out of a book, The Family Nobody Would Have Chosen. It's the long version of what you've just heard. Grace, power, and providence traced right through the genealogy of Jesus. Name by name, with all the material there simply isn't room for in a single video. Same road, same guest list. More time to walk it. The link is in the description. But the videos stay free, and there are 21 more of them coming.